I want to reflect on one of the things that Andrea said as well, and that is Hannah. We'll come back and talk about that one. I'll kind of bring that back up because I think that's really an incredibly important story that some of us may not know exactly who that is or how it went down. But I'm Brad Richy. I'm the Director of the Office of Emergency Management for the state of Idaho. I also work for the governor as his Homeland Security Advisor. So it's kind of two jobs all wrapped into one. So one of the things we take a look at is planning, preparedness, mitigation, response, recovery, communication, school safety, cybersecurity. So just have a few things on my plate. But just to kind of tell you a little bit about myself, I didn't start off in emergency management. I don't have a degree in emergency management. I've got a master's degree, but it's not in emergency management. I spent 41 years in the military. I spent 23 years at UPS. Don't add them together, just overlap them, because that would put me really up there. But in 2012, I had probably one of the best jobs I ever thought I could have. And that was out of the Guard. I had the opportunity to be responsible for the whole Air National Guard at the time, and it was really a great job. I was only in that position a very short period of time when I got a call to the front building and asked, hey, what do you think about giving up the job you're in and doing this job in emergency management? Well, it's not just one job, it was two jobs, because I told you I was with UPS. So I had the opportunity to see the world with UPS. I flew for them for 23 years. So my first question to them was, well, I don't really have any experience in emergency management. Why me? They said, well, you know, why not somebody else? So eventually I said yes to the job. One, you know, I can't say that I've never had an emergency in an airplane. I can't say that when I was deployed a time or two that we didn't have crisis management that we had to handle at the time or lives would be lost. So that was kind of a background. That's about the only background I had in emergency management at the time. So I took the job, and 2 weeks after, well, let me tell you a little story real quick. When you interview for the airlines initially it used to be an extremely difficult, challenging scenario that they would put the interviewee into. They would ask you all kinds of things. They would try to insult you to see the emotion, the frustration, how you would respond in times of a crisis, if you will. So when I said I would take the job, the position is appointed by the Adjutant General under the Middle Division, but it's approved by the governor. So I had to go interview with the governor. So I sat down, I was in my suit, I was all excited about being there. He starts off like, hey, where are you from? So I tell him, and he looks at me and he says, that is absolutely the worst city I have ever been to. So I'm thinking back to my interview days. Governor, I couldn't agree with you anymore. You know, so I was trying to work through. Little did I know that he had spent basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky at the time, and when he went through basic training, he was not happy with the location and the humidity and the temperatures and everything else. But again, I looked at that. There was an opportunity to blow the interview right there. But we made it through the interview, and 2 weeks after that interview, the state of Idaho caught on fire. We burnt 1.8 million acres. We had multiple fires across the state. Again, I told you I didn't have quite the background to stand up and say, I've got this, I know this. All I could do was depend upon a team of 45 people. So you would think the State Office of Emergency Management has got some incredible people and multiple people. We've got 45 people. So, and we can't all do the same job. But you got to know what those jobs are and how they relate to each one. So we caught on fire, we burnt. There were lives, there was homes, there's communities threatened the entire time. There's air quality issues associated with the fire and the smoke, not in a fire area that's downstream from them. So learning who the team really is. There's 44 counties, 5 tribes, 200 cities across the state. And I learned very quickly that it's all about teamwork. 45 people can't handle every single disaster that we had. It takes a team of hundreds of people to be able to do that. And having a relationship in every single city, having a relationship in every county, as well as in the tribes, is all important on how you respond and how you can help those communities. Andrea talked about Hannah Anderson. The interesting thing about Hannah Anderson that I love to reflect upon was the incredible response that came from outside the county in which she was found. So Valley County, and I don't know how many people have been to Valley County. I had the opportunity to go up there and go to Stites, well, not Stites, Stip Night, to see an issue that happened earlier this year when a bridge washed out based on an old burn scar and all the debris came down, clogged the thing, and the next thing you know, the bridge washed out. 180 miles, it took us 13 hours to go from Boise up and back with about an hour in place. And that was roads that were drivable. Where this individual was located was way back on some trails. So how did we find out that she was there? The interesting thing was a retired sheriff had taken a friend and his wife up hunting or pre-hunting or whatever, and happened to recognize this couple or this group that was trying to get back to an area that they discussed, but noticed they weren't prepared to stay there. And then when he got back out and sat at home that night in front of his TV, he saw the Amber Alert. So there's a lot of things going on immediately. Amber Alert went out, had pictures. He recognized, he saw something and was willing to say something. The neat thing about that was the response between Ada County and the Office of Emergency Management. Like I say, the incident happened up in Valley County. So in order to support Valley County, Ada County stepped up. They have a team ready to go. Within an hour of locating the approximate area, a plan had already been devised on where to send the Ada County team, how quickly to get them there. From phone call to launch, we had them airborne and out there in the area in about 2.5 hours. From an hour from the first call, we had them airborne. Hour and a half later, we had them in place. 30 minutes later, they were up and ready to do things. That's what it's all about. That's the teamwork it takes. And as I recall, Andrea was up there working with Valley County as the communications, as the public information officer during that time frame. That wasn't the only thing that happened in Valley County that year. There were several other issues. And we've had several issues since all the wildfire season in 2012. When you start looking back at 2017 was an extremely challenging year for Idaho. On the 26th of December, I called my team here in Boise and said, hey, have we heard from other members of our team across the state? Because I'm seeing a whole lot of snow on my house, and I'm looking at all the travel and all the issues that was being generated by the amount of snow that was on the roof. And at that time, there wasn't any pressing issues, because I will tell you, we as Idahoans take a lot of pride in being resilient, being willing to stand up and say, it's my responsibility, I'll get out there and I'll handle it. I don't need any help. I don't need any neighbors' help. I don't need anything. I can do it myself. And that's what we did until about the middle of January. But I can tell you, 2 weeks after having that much snow and continued snow coming down on the homes across the state, the warm temperatures, the additional snow, the rain, 2017 was probably one of the worst years for Idaho. We had 4 presidential declarations. We had a denial on 1. We worked with 34 counties that declared a disaster in their area. And again, we're still working with those communities to repair the damage. So prepare for. How can we be better prepared than we are today? And that starts with every single person that lives in Idaho, the 1.7 million of us. We have to know what our area is, because if I go to Boundary County doesn't have the same issues as Jerome County. So I can't go in and work a plan for Boundary County with the Jerome plan. So it's a real challenge to make sure that we're prepared. Understanding preparedness, understanding what you can do as a family member, understanding what you can do as a community member, understanding what you can do as a city, county member to be prepared and more prepared is extremely important and extremely critical. We're going to be there. We may not be there when you need us the most, but we're going to be there working with the communities. So I would highly encourage you to be involved. We're working with youth today to try to teach them preparedness. Community emergency response training is an incredible program. Volunteers. We need volunteers across the state almost every single year to do a lot of great things. But I will tell you, preparedness is what it's all about. Earthquakes, fires, floods are never going away. They're going to be here, and we need to be prepared. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today and talk to you about preparedness. Thank you.